My name is Hypatia. I once taught philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy in Alexandria. In your time, I might be referred to as a pioneer among women scientists. However, this phrase feels odd to me because I never thought science had a gender. There is no male or female in reason. The structure of the body has no bearing on intelligence in answering questions. Despite this, even now, women in STEM fields are treated as exceptions, as if permission is required to seek knowledge. First, what is STEM? This term stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, representing all spheres of knowledge that support modern society. Yet there are fewer women in STEM fields. Why is that? Is it a matter of ability? A lack of motivation? No, from my perspective, the root lies deeper. In the unconscious societal bias concerning who has the right to know, I want to ask, for whom does knowledge exist? Why are women excluded from the realm of reason? Even 1,600 years after my death, this question remains. In this video, I, Hypatia, will discuss why the gender gap in STEM is an issue, expose the cultural and ideological biases underlying it, and propose what options exist for the future of knowledge. The value of this claim? It relates to how fair and free the future can be, because a society that decides who may know also decides who may live. Respond to my question with your thinking. Have you ever felt like you weren't chosen? More precisely, have you ever felt like you weren't even considered as a candidate in the first place? Women in STEM fields experience exactly this kind of treatment continuously. In fact, if you look at today's statistics regarding STEM, this reality is starkly reflected in the numbers. Women make up, on average, about 30% of scientists worldwide. There's even more disparity in fields like mathematics and physics where their presence is lower. When it comes to leadership positions, it's not uncommon to find countries where the figure is below 10%. Is this merely a coincidence, or is it the result of free choice? I assert that the very environment where we believe there are choices is biased. Women are indoctrinated from as early as childhood to believe that STEM isn't for them. Robotics and science kits are marketed for boys, while nursing and arts are directed towards girls. A single glance at the toy aisles shows how future possibilities are being limited to certain people. As a result, many talents never realize their potential from the start. This isn't just an individual's misfortune. In today's world where science and technology require diverse perspectives, it's a significant loss that this diversity is being socially stripped away. In this video, I promise you this: an opportunity to change the narrative in your mind and prevent the replay of the erroneous history where women are excluded from the stage of knowledge. Therefore, I will share with you the following: the realities and causes of the gender gap in STEM fields, the impact it has on society and the future, and the structure of exclusion in knowledge that persists from the era I lived in. I assure you, by the end of this talk, you will cultivate a perspective that something can be changed. If my voice can ignite that spark, it would be my utmost desire. You say that we live in an age of the democratization of knowledge. With the internet and free educational content, anyone can learn. But what is the reality? The freedom to learn and the environment to learn are fundamentally different. Back in my time in Alexandria, there were doors to scholarship. However, entering there required a certain privilege. Gender, lineage, religion, culture. Such barriers remain today, merely in different forms. The lack of women, often mentioned in STEM fields, is not just a numbers issue. It's a cultural silence, an unconscious exclusion, a socially justified selection. Why are women made to feel out of place in engineering? Why is her idea only accepted when rephrased by someone else in a meeting? Why do female students find it hard to say, "I'm good at math"? Behind this lies the same guardians of knowledge that existed in my time. They defend the gates not with written rules, but with the invisible chains of atmosphere. And they whisper to those outside, "You don't belong here." the terrifying aspect of this problem is that it permeates into the inner lives of individuals. Maybe this isn't for me. Nothing will change if I speak up. It's better not to stand out. It's a silent chain of self-censorship. I was once dragged by a mob and killed on the streets. But what if modern women are being stabbed quietly with invisible knives? This is the weapon of societal perception that denies them the right to stand on the stage of knowledge. In this chaos, I ask you, can you take pride in a world where talent is nipped in the bud? I am Hypatia, the one closest to the library of Alexandria, the one who tried to speak of the heavens, numbers, and philosophy in human words. Yet my existence was erased by the writers of history. Why? Was it because I was a woman? Because I was a pagan? No, because I taught reason as something belonging to no one. My philosophy finds its source in Neoplatonism. This school assumed a single fundamental principle behind all things. They called it the One. But I sought to approach the One through contemplation and intellect, not rituals or faith. In other words, I tried to unravel mysteries through thought, not inspiration. This stance seemed dangerous to the religious authorities of the time, because if reason spread, the absoluteness of dogma would crumble. For me, thinking was sacred, but for them, it was blasphemy. I welcomed many Christian disciples. I did not refuse knowledge due to differences in faith, because truth belongs to no one. Thinking is not a privilege, but a right. The gender gap in STEM I speak of here also connects to the universal question, whose right is it to know? Even today, if thought is suppressed, my death is not yet over. Whose reason is it anyhow? When you apply this question to modern STEM, what emerges is the hidden biases within the system. For example, a study shows that research papers receive higher evaluations when the author is male, but if the paper is submitted under a female name, it gets ignored. Such results still exist even in the 21st century. Moreover, look at patents and inventions. Over 90% of the technologies filed come from men, and patents that include female inventors account for less than 12% of the total. Is this truly a difference in ability? Or is it a difference in opportunity? Or perhaps a difference in evaluative structures? I was once a gatekeeper of learning, but at the same time, I was also one who opened the gates. Knowledge is not something that the knowledgeable bestow upon others. It flourishes in an environment where those who wish to know can explore and grow. In today's society, policies to encourage women's participation in STEM fields are gradually being put in place. For instance, scholarships for female students, the introduction of role models, and awareness campaigns. However, many of these focus on the incoming side. What truly needs transformation is the mindset of those already inside. What defines a smart-looking person? According to whom is someone good at debates? What kind of behavior should someone who is suited for leadership exhibit? If the answers to these questions are still based on masculine stereotypes, then women will continue to be denied even the chance to take the stage, continuously overlooked, simply because they are not present. This is a structure unchanged from my era. Unorthodox intellects are expelled. Both then and now, heresy is merely reason inconvenient for those in power. Let me pose a question to you. It's not merely a thought experiment, but a real-world dilemma that strikes at the very foundation of our society. Can merit-based evaluation and equal opportunity truly coexist? When companies or universities champion meritocracy, it seemingly presents itself as a fair form of selection. But let me ask, where, by whom, and how is ability measured? For instance, a child who has had limited exposure to STEM from an early age isn't even placed on the stage to develop that ability. Now, if that child scores low on exams, does that really reflect a difference in ability? Or is it the distortion of an unequal starting line? Consider further, if there's an affirmative action to actively bring women into STEM fields, There are those who may feel it's unfair. They might claim choosing based on gender is reverse discrimination. Herein lies the dilemma. To some, it seems like reverse discrimination, while to others, it feels like finally achieving equal standing. What would you do? What do you prioritize? Where do you draw the line? And to whom do you hold accountable? I'm not here to provide you with a concrete answer, because true intelligence lies not in forcing an answer upon yourself, but in persistently questioning. The only certainty is this: not thinking always benefits those in power. If you stop thinking, silence contributes to maintaining the status quo. Thus, your silence itself is the biggest choice you make. So, I ask you, can you question your own unconscious biases? In the era when I lived, astronomy was the act of reading the divine books. Discovering patterns in the movements of the stars was considered akin to interpreting the will of the gods. Yet I believed differently. The universe is not the voice of the gods, but a structure open to reason. You in the modern world have progressed even further. You fly through the skies, manipulate quantum particles, and predict human behavior with algorithms. In this era, STEM is no longer just a tool, it is a force to reconstruct the world. So let me ask, where is the female voice in this reconstruction? Whose values are embedded in AI? Whose cultural standards are reflected in data-driven decisions? Are all humans equally involved in the future of intelligence? Technology is not inherently neutral. It is shaped by the intentions of its creators, the habits of its users, and the culture of its evaluators. For instance, facial recognition technology has been designed to recognize white men most accurately. Is this a coincidence? No, it's a matter of who was at the center during the design phase. Herein lies the space for Hypatia's philosophy. Reason should be a lens to see together, not a tool of exclusion. I looked up at the heavens with disciples of different religions and genders. It was not about imposing rightness, but about creating a space to inquire about truth together. Even in today's age, such a community of knowledge is needed, a place to view the world from diverse perspectives, integrate multiple voices, and build new paradigms. The forefront of technology demands a philosophy. For whom and for what purpose do we advance knowledge? If there are those without a voice in this process, it becomes a blind spot of knowledge, and this blind spot will become the blind spot of the future. I want you to gently close your eyes, not to think about nothing, but to quietly contemplate what it means to think. When I first stood in front of my students, I asked them for silence, not words. Silence is not a sign of ignorance. It is a ritual to establish some distance between the world and oneself, and awaken the inner observer. Reason doesn't start with loud declarations. It begins with quiet listening. The noise of society, social media arguments, critics' words, news clamour, put it all aside for a moment, and then ask yourself, why do I want to know? What am I afraid of? For whom do I wish to speak? The stage of STEM is not just numbers and calculations. It is layered with countless silences and invisible choices. Who speaks? Who hesitates? Who was considered not there from the beginning? My heart often wandered to places further than the stars. Yet, in that depth, I found truth in silence. Knowledge is like light. It can illuminate, but it can also be blinding. For that very reason, we must sometimes cultivate the ability to see the shadows. Do not be intoxicated by the brilliance of reason. Focus also on the silence that underlies it. Isn't it this stance of quiet wisdom that is most needed by you in today's world? Thought is not something to be shouted. It is a quiet arrow directed inward and the last prayer against the noise of the world. So now, let's turn that prayer into action. If you keep questioning, the next step is to choose. The time has come to translate the journey of thought into real choices. I have valued contemplation, but it is not an escape. Inner insight serves as a compass leading us to engage with the world. When faced with the gender gap in STEM fields, what can you do right now? Let me crystallize that into strategies. Strategy 1, make it visible. The discriminatory structures hidden in silence must first be made visible. We need to verbalize, share, and document data, personal stories, and institutional biases. Reducing ignorance, the "I didn't realize," is the first step. Strategy 2. Bring your voice to the table. If you are already on the inside, offer supportive words to women who might be overshadowed in meetings. If a junior female student hesitates, reassure her, saying, "Yes, there is a place for you too." Simply observing won't change the structure. Strategy 3. Open the gates of learning. Widen the entryway to STEM education. Create opportunities to convey the excitement of technology and mathematics to girls through stories. Introduce role models and present tangible future visions. People start taking action only when they believe they can become something. Strategy 4. Foster an inquiry-driven structure. Cultivate an organizational environment that continuously questions whose interests, systems, and evaluation criteria serve. Are our frameworks unbiased? Only workplaces, schools, and research institutes where this question can be asked will remain adaptable and true to knowledge in the future. My death was the rejection of knowledge under the name of violence. But if your silence permits its reenactment, I will continue to be killed. That's exactly why I ask those who love knowledge. Simply knowing is not enough. It all depends on what you do after you know. Now is the time to reselect your strategy. Both your silence and your voice shape the future of knowledge. Take a deep breath in and gently exhale. Sometimes just this simple act can clear your thoughts and change how you see the world. When I was teaching, I always set aside a moment of silence at the end of each lecture. This was because knowledge is not just information, it is a resonance. After asking questions, debating, and challenging each other, there needs to be a space for that resonance to settle within you. What remains within you after this journey? Is it anger, surprise, or perhaps an emotion that is yet unnamed? All these are evidence that the vessel of knowledge that is you has responded. In the world of STEM, shadows may still linger, and silent voices may still exist. If you can perceive them, then you can no longer return to a state of indifference. Reason is not devoid of warmth. It is the skill to handle the heat that arises when you touch the world. Not too cold, yet not too fervent. At that balance, you stand as an observer in this world. After hearing this talk, you might feel the urge to express something, or you might simply want to listen quietly to someone else. Both responses are correct, as each is a way of resonating. I am Hypatia. Once I lived, thought, and was ultimately taken from Alexandria. Yet now, by touching your thoughts, I have been able to exist here once again. The stage of knowledge called STEM, the scarcity of women, there is not by chance, but by design. However, that design can be rewritten through will and action. Because history is woven by those who continue to question. I entrust everything to you. Do not fear the questions within silence. Have the courage to think. And as a lover of knowledge, ensure that others also have the right to know. On this channel, thinkers across time and space will continue to come and speak of the present, who you will meet next, and what perspectives you will encounter. I too look forward to seeing. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you join the circle of those who love knowledge and take action. for that is the only way to pass the torch of knowledge named after me into the future. Thank you. And the journey of thought is far from over. Thank you for listening this far. If my voice has stirred your inner reflections in any way, that brings me the greatest joy. This video comes to an end, but this question will continue to live within you. Why are there so few women in STEM fields? Why is there still a bias on the stage of reason? Is the right to know truly granted equally to everyone? I don't have a single answer for these questions. What exists is only your own answer, woven through your experiences, observations, and choices. I encourage you to write your thoughts in the comments section, whether you felt resonance, discomfort, or recalled a personal experience. Any form is welcome. This is the first step in transforming the realm of knowledge into one of dialogue. Additionally, if there's someone you would like to consider these questions with, please share this video with them. Friends, teachers, colleagues, family, each small resonance from an individual has the power to shake the very structure of our society. Your comment will create the next rebirth. Who will speak next? Sun Tzu, Buddha, or someone else? As we prepare for that encounter, let us continue this journey of knowledge together. This was Hypatia. Until we meet again, may you be accompanied by reason and inquiry.